Alright, so we're on page 63.
63. Let's try missed the class. For the recording.
We spoke last week about water that's under the bed. We said water or food that's under a person's bed once they sleep in it. You're not supposed to drink that water or food anymore. But if you have no other water, you can still do Kehillat Yadayim with that water.
So you're saying like it's not like water that's seeped under your mattress?
No, like an actual water bottle, let's say. Your bed's raised and you put a water bottle underneath. Now we're in a similar halakha. Mayim shayu betoch mayim, water. See 63? Tet vav? 63? Mayim shayu betoch kli meguleh. Water that was betoch, inside of a kli, a vessel, meguleh, that was revealed. For example, not a water bottle, but a cup. That's a great example. B'makom she'en mitzuyim, in a place where it is not common to find sham over there, nechashim, snakes. It'll make sense in just a second.
Okay.
Mutar litol bahem yadav. You're allowed to wash your hands with this water. Af lechatchila, even in an ideal situation, meaning not even if you have other water, you can use this water.
Not allowed to drink it though.
Ben l'shacharit, whether for washing your hands in the morning, uven l'suda, or whether for a meal, uven k'shiyotza mibet ha'kiser, whether he's going out of the bathroom. Uv'makom shemitzuim sham nechashim, and in a place where snakes are commonly found. Let's say you are in a tropical place, or you are in a desert and there are actually snakes inside of a house. That could be such a situation. I don't know why you live there. Let's say you're camping in a place that there are such snakes.
They didn't say anything about camping. Just a snake.
No, but there are like people look like if you live like in Thailand, somewhere like that, where you like the little huts or shacks, and you're right by the water or out in the jungle. It's very common to find all kinds of creatures coming in. That kind of thing. Chabad or Bangkok.
A place where you do find snakes, one should be strict. Not to wash your hands mimayim, from water that were found in a revealed cup, an uncovered cup.
The snake in the water?
They're little snakes.
No, just if the snakes were nearby, we don't know why yet, but if the snakes are nearby, then steer clear of that type of water.
So let's look at the source for this, because this is an interesting halakha, and many people are particular about it, even though they have no idea for the reason.
Or even if snakes are around.
Well, there's one type of snake in Brazil called the buckmaster snake.
The bushmaster?
Bushmaster.
Oh, okay.
Bushmaster. And you put your finger on its skin. There's enough poison, if you put it to your mouth inadvertently, you will go into a coma for a few days.
Wow.
Just touching the skin of that snake.
So,
if you're exposed to water.
Yeah.
So we're in Vav. Look at Vav in the Birur Halakha, the left column, the left bottom column. See Vav? Yeah, it's the second paragraph. Very nice. Ba'avodah zarah, in Tractate Avodah Zarah in the Talmud, Ita. Ita is the Aramaic word for katuv. It's written. Shemayim, water, it doesn't say shamayim, rather shemayim, water, that water. Shahayu megulim, that were uncovered, lo yirchatz mehem panav, yadav, v'raglav. You should not wash with them your panav, your face, yadav, hands, v'raglav, and your feet. V'katav harambam, and the Rambam writes, shepsulim, they're invalidated in Kehillat Yadayim, for washing your hands with them. You can't use them for Kehillat Yadayim. V'katvu harishonim v'haposkim, and the earlier rabbis and poskim wrote, the bezman hazeh, that nowadays she'en nachashim mitzuyim benenu, that we don't find snakes in between us, they're not commonly found between us. En lachush afilu li'inyan shtiyah, one does not have to worry about even drinking this water, they're allowed to drink them. Umutar afilu lechatchila, and you're allowed to do this even lechatchila. Do you mind if I just look something up in my Shulchan Aruch? So I'll go get a book.
So this is what's written in Avodah Zarah, that these days we're allowed to do.
No, the Talmud says you can use the water, and the rabbis understand. I'll tell you in a moment what they understand.
Let me grab the pens, okay?
Sure.
It's unlocked.
Yeah, it's unlocked. Okay. It seems that the reason why you can't use this water, our rabbis were afraid that snakes were going to put their venom in the water overnight.
Bushmaster.
And there you go. And therefore, we were so afraid of that you weren't allowed to use it to wash your hands or your face because of sakana, of danger, especially not to drink it. Maran on the Shulchan Aruch writes that was true in the times of the Talmud, where snakes were very commonplace. He says, but not where we live, at least not where he lives. And he says, therefore there's not a problem to use such water even to drink. Even to drink.
Wow. But what do you mean by snakes are not in our area? Snakes are not benenu, like amongst us. Snakes, I mean, like not, like just like pursuit, like just like that physically. Like they're like not anywhere near us, or they're like
as
really,
civilization expanded,
Yeah.
wild animals moved farther and farther away from civilization.
Yeah.
And even though on an environmental level that might not be the greatest thing, on a practical safety level, that does wonders. You can't compare a place where 3 people live in the middle of the forest to where 10,000 people live in the middle of the forest. But the forest probably won't be there anymore. But what that does for the snakes is it keeps them away.
Yeah.
It keeps them away. For example, in University City, you have all kinds of wildlife in the canyons. But aside from the few houses on the corners of the canyons, they don't make their way into central University City.
they cross.
And that's what it means. That even though those animals are around, hem lo mitzuim benenu, they're not found amongst us, not where we live. So this seems to be logical. I mean, there's logic. It says water that's revealed is dangerous because of snakes. There are places where there's no snakes, and you're allowed to use them to drink. The question is, if you're allowed to drink them, are you allowed to use them for Netilat Yadayim?
Yes.
The Tur in Orach Chaim, remember the Tur? He writes that it's possible that nowadays she'ein chosheshim legilui, that we're not afraid of the water being revealed. Ksharim af netilah, you're allowed to use them to wash your hands for Netilat Yadayim. V'chin hiskimu, and they agreed with him, Maran Bet Yosef, Maran, and the Bach Sham. The Ketava Bach, and the Bach says, Shafilu b'nei Adam, that even those people, shemachmirim latzmam, that choose to be stringent, linyan shtiyah, regarding drinking this water, yicholim la'akel linyan tilah, they're allowed to be lenient regarding washing their hands with this water.
Good.
And now here's something very interesting. There's a rabbi named Rabbi Chaim ben Attar. Have you heard of him before?
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi Chaim ben Attar is the author of, anybody know? A book called the Or HaChaim. The Or HaChaim is the commentary on the Torah. He also wrote a few books in Halakha called the Pri Torah and Rishon LeZion, among others. He was the rabbi of the Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azurai, and one of the greatest Sephardic Kabbalists to ever live. And it's interesting because where other Kabbalists made big deals over certain issues, he seems to be very much hard-lined against those issues. For example, those of you who remember my class on Halevy, and we found those Kabbalists that said that even if the halakha doesn't apply, on a Kabbalistic level, there's milk. Remember there was the whole discussion? The Pri Torah says, I don't understand. The halakha doesn't apply, so why would there be anything Kabbalistic that applies? It doesn't make sense, right? And that's the Pri Torah. The Pri Torah was famous for having a stance on these matters. So he writes, V'katav ha'gaon, v'afilu b'makom, and even in places, the shchichei nechashim, where there are snakes who are prevalent, Katav HaGaon Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, the Rabbi Chaim ben Attar writes B'Sefer Pri Torah, in his book Pri Torah, Yoredah, Lehakel b'zeh l'inyan netilah, to be lenient about this regarding washing your hands. V'yesh me'acharonim, and there are some of the later authorities shekatvu lachmir b'zeh, to be strict about this b'makom shemitzuim nachashim, in places where there are still snakes today. V'raui lechush ledivrehem lachmir b'zeh, and it's good to be strict like them in a place where there are snakes, not to use this water for washing your head. Very nice. So pretty much this halakha doesn't apply today, of leaving things revealed. We're not afraid of snakes getting into our drinks. I will tell you on a practical level that you are definitely have to be careful about bugs when you leave your stuff revealed. I had a story in Yerushalayim. The Chayei Adam was one of the big Ashkenazi rabbis, Rabbi Avram Danzig. He wrote a beautiful work called the Chayei Adam. And he writes in there that a person who wants to save himself from many, many not kosher things should make sure that before they eat, they look at the food that they're going to eat. Just look at it. And I used to learn a lot of Chayei Adam, and I took upon myself this thing of looking at my food before I eat. So I never eat with the lights off. I never eat in a dark place. I never. A lot of people do. A lot of people, I don't know, it's the middle of the night or whatever it is, or they're at dinner and whatever they like.
Yeah, I watch you check out the dried figs. I noticed that.
Right.
Restaurants, they do that so you don't see what the food really is.
Yeah.
Right.
It really looks.
That's the reason they turn the lights off. If they turn the lights on, it looks like every other restaurant, just $100 more. So
it's like McDonald's.
Business, it's restaurant business now.
And here's the thing. I was in Yerushalayim, and I left a cup of. I drink oranges. I was a yeshiva boy. I didn't want to throw away the cup. I have to go get a new cup. So I left a cup. It wasn't washed. It was next to my bed. I left it there, and I woke up later that night. I needed something to drink. And so I went to pour myself a glass of oranges, and I was going to drink it. I said, I never drink with the lights off. I turned on the light. And it was a big gate, it's hard to not turn on the light, just drink. I turned on the light. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved me. He saved me from an issue. The cup was full of ants. A little black thing floating in my cup.
It happened to me this last summer.
Really?
I left some coconut water out. We were in a hotel in Northern California. And I went to get a drink in the middle of the night. And fortunately, I turned the light on, swarming with the little
insect party.
There you go. This thing happens a lot. People who want to be careful to look at what it is that before you eat. I like dried fruits, for example. It's one of those things that I like. Dried fruits, many of them, for example, dried figs. I like dried figs, but dried figs are notorious for being full of bugs. And people who don't check them, they've definitely made a few not kosher bites in their life. Apricots, dried apricots.
What about the halacha about a bug being part of the fruit when it's inside the fruit?
You'd have to know that it was part of the fruit.
Cheese.
How would you know that or not?
Right, so you would, there are people who are beki'im and bugs. They know which kind of bugs grew from inside the fruit, which one I don't know these halachot.
The cheese, yes.
Cheese also has bugs. Right. Now there are bugs that are allowed to eat, like Zev is pointing out, bugs that come from inside of the food as opposed to from the outside of the food. For example, if a worm lays eggs inside, it sounds gross, inside of an apple, and those eggs hatch and the worms stay inside of the apple, and that first worm leaves, and it dies, whatever, it goes away. You're technically allowed to eat those worms inside of the apple. Because the Torah says, HaSheretz HaShoretz, the insect which crawls on the earth. We use this halakha a lot with fish.
Not the bug that crawls on the
right,
out of the apple.
Not inside. So there's a famous question. Someone once asked, the king of, I don't remember, wherever, asked for Yonatan in Europe. He said, explain this halakha to me. It doesn't make any sense. Either a bug is not kosher, or a bug is kosher. How can it be that a bug that's from inside the apple is kosher, and the one from the outside of the apple is not kosher? So we use halakha like certain fish have worms inside of them. Yeah. And if we know that they're worms that are not from the outside, rather they're worms that grow in the flesh, technically, you don't have to be, it's part of the fish. I know it sounds gross, right? You might not want to eat it in the first place, but just
but there's sushi for a lot of sushi.
At Costco.
Oh, Costco! Oh, they had
parasites in the fish because they didn't freeze it
An
properly.
outbreak.
So let me share with you the story with Rabbi Yonatan. He was asked this question. Rabbi Yonatan was a brilliant Talmid Chacham. He's actually the great grandfather of my wife. And Rabbi Yonatan writes, he told the bishop, he said, the bishop, king, it was a Christian leader. I don't remember if it was the king or the bishop, or it could be both. At that time, the church and the state were pretty much the same thing. And he said, let me ask you a question. You swallow the spit inside of your mouth? He said, of course. So you don't spit it out all the time? You swallow it? He says, yeah. So let me ask you, spit onto a spoon for me. Spits onto the spoon. He has no idea where this is going. It's okay, now swallow it again. He says, ew. He says, why is that gross? You do it all the time, you swallow your spit. Why now that it's on the spoon it's gross for you? He said, because this is spit that came outside of your mouth. It's the same thing in this halakha. It seems to be that there's a difference between that which was inside always and that which now leaves and is coming back in. So that's...
You made him leave the room.
You make Raoul squeamish here?
I don't know what happened.
I had a friend in Denver who made yayin of his own, and it was filled with bugs.
Ew.
Right? And the rabbi told him it was okay if you just strained the bugs out and it would be kosher. What is that about?
Interesting.
I never could explain to me why it was okay. You just pour the wine through a sieve.
Why were there so many bugs in his wine?
Good question. They either flew because he had a vat or something.
It's supposed to have like covered barrels,
They're like
barrels,
little
sealed
flies.
barrels. Think of like
Little
a
flies.
cask of Amontillado with like the wax seal, So
There are technically bugs inside of things. You could filter them out. Although according to many rabbis, especially Ashkenazi rabbis, once it stays in there for more than 24 hours, it kind of becomes, that sounds gross, pickled in that juice. And therefore it could be that would be a problem. So I don't know if filtering would work. I'm not a baki. I don't deal with bugs. Bugs are out of my department.
Remove the bugs, it may not taste like you expected anymore.
Ted Zayin. Let's see the next halakha.
Oh, I've heard.
But again, remember we spoke last week about halakha, or 2 weeks, I don't remember when it was. We spoke halachot, not the halakha changes, but the situation changes. So this is a classic example. See, there used to be a situation where snakes were putting venom into their drinks. Today you don't have that situation. It's not that halakha changed. Rather, it's just that the situation changed. Therefore, the halakha doesn't apply anymore. Ted Zayin.
Will they consider halachically a worm to be a snake in this case?
No.
It's a mamash snake.
A snake. Im hichnis yadav. If a person puts his hands lamayim into the water, kodem before shenatal mihem yadav.
Which page we are?
On 63 in the middle of the page. Yeah. So again, if a person puts his hands into the water before he washes his hands for shacharit. Give me an example.
You have a basin, wash basin, you just stick your hand.
Okay, or let's give a more practical example that could happen now. When you hold the washing cup, some people they stick their thumbs in when they're washing. Ever see those people? They hold the cup. Can I have this holder? They hold it instead of from the handles. They're holding it like this. Yeah, and they're pouring. I see people do this all the time. You never seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
No, I've never done it. So now this genius put his tameh hands inside of water. Water is a conductor for tumah. Water is it's an easy receptacle for tumah. So let's see what the halakha says.
So in a mikvah, does a mikvah conduct a tumah of the person who was in it?
It's an interesting question. No. Interesting question. Because a mikvah, my guess, and this is only a guess, not a halakha rim. A mikvah is constantly purifying. Whereas the act of purification when washing your hands is not it's the pouring of the water.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's supposed to be mayim chaim, right? It's supposed to be like fresh.
There are in the Mishnayot things about like a needle on the step of the mikvah and those kind of things. Interesting. So if a person puts his hands in the water before he washes his hands, shora lehem, it rests now on the water, ruach ra'ah, this unclean spirit. Veshuv and eno yachol, and he's no longer able, litol mihem yadav shacharit, to wash his hands from that water. He said if a person is an am haaretz, he's ignorant, he can just mess up on every mitzvah in the whole world. V'in en lo mayim acherim, and what if he doesn't have other water? Ela elu, he only has this water that he stuck his hands in. Yitol yadav bahem belo bracha, he should wash his hands with it without a blessing. Kadei shuchal yitpalel lacham mekem, so he's able to pray afterwards. I don't know if you remember why. Remember the Kabbalistic idea of ruach ra'ah does not hold you back from praying. What holds you back from praying is the uncleanliness of your hands. But that water can be used to clean your hands physically, but not spiritually. And therefore you'd be able to use the water to wash your hands, not with a bracha, but enough so you'd be able to pray. Aval, but Im naga biyadav, if he touches with his hands, b'mayim, the water, b'tzeito mi bet hakiseh, when he's leaving the bathroom, achar she'asat zachav, after he used it, kodem shenatan yadav, though before he actually washes his hands, so he touches the water after the bathroom. It's not in the morning. It's not when he's waking up from his ruach hara sleep. Lo nifselu hamayim, the water does not become invalidated until after washing your hands. Machmat negiato behem, because he touched them. Meaning the water is still
Pure, clean.
Yes, the water is still clean. By the way, I'm seeing here that the Rabbi Avraham of Buchach, the author of the Eshel Avraham, he disagrees with my example. He says sticking your fingers in would not be enough to make the water invalid. But rather, you have to stick your whole hand in to make the water tameh. It's interesting for me to see his proof for that, but
Well, when you put your hands in the water, your hands don't become clean?
Not regarding ruach hara. Ruach hara is only 3 times on each.
So if you're like in the bathtub and you're washing to clean your body,
That's considered cleaning of your hands, but not ruach hara. You're not removing the ruach hara from your hand.
so if you washed your hands before and then you take a bath, you're sitting in the bath, you have to wash your hands after the bath or after touching your body.
You always have to wash your hands after touching your body or after
But
touching.
even if it's underwater,
Yeah.
even if it's in the bath. Right.
There's a halakha that after the shower you have to wash your hands. It's a good question.
Oh, interesting.
And I always do this. I always wonder.
Siman, so we're in Seif Bet over here. See, we finally made it to the next Seif. God, how many pages was that? They gave us a run for our money on this one. Since page 53. Wow. Yeah, it seems like they're all like that though. Okay. Bet. Let's read Maran. Finally, we're back to Maran. So now we know all about the water you can or cannot use. Basically, the water should be the same water you would use to drink. They should be clean, so on and so forth. Says Maran on the top of 64, Yidakdek, one should be particular or careful. La'arot alehen mayim, to pour water on his hands. Shelosha pe'amim, 3 times. Lehavir ruach ra'ah, in order to get rid of the evil spirit, sheshoa alehen, which is resting on his hands. So, even though normally washing your hands once would suffice, here when you're trying to get rid of ruach ra'ah, one has to wash his hands 3 times. This is the only place in halakha, when you're trying to get rid of ruach ra'ah, that you wash your hands 3 times. For bread, you can wash your hands once. After the bathroom, you can wash your hands once. In the morning, you wash your hands 3 times. Yeah. You want a pen? Yeah. Okay, that's the halakha. Let's look now, finally, we made it here. How do you wash your hands in the morning?
Very careful.
Very carefully. I want to share with you here, though, before an introduction. We're going to see now an ability to become obsessive compulsive when it comes to halakha. So we have a number of opinions, and the author of this book is going to suggest to us to try to satisfy all of the opinions instead of just one of the opinions. And that's a problem. Because what that does is it creates new traditions, it creates new customs, it creates new people doing new things that we've never done before.
That's not common in Safari.
Not so much, but here, because it's a Kabbalistic matter, and Sfaradim are crazy about Kabbalah, so here they're trying to fulfill everyone's opinions. We have our flaws. So, let's look here. Seder HaNetilah, the order of washing our hands. We're inside of the Halakha B'Ra, in the middle of the page. Yud Zayin. This is Seif 17. Tzarich, one must la'arot, pour mayim, water, al yadav, on his hands, shalosh pa'amim, 3 times. It's interesting that Maran uses shalosha and Rabbi David uses shalosh. Kedei lehasir, in order to rid ourselves of haruach ra'ah me'alehen, of the impure spirit that's on our hands. The source of this is from the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, where Rabbi Yonatan tells us that one must wash his hands 3 times to rid ourselves of the Ruach Ra. Now, when I say wash your hands 3 times, what do we mean 3 times? Not the order. How much water am I putting on each hand?
Well, it should be enough to cover the whole.
Cover the whole hand. You know, people that they use like a small cup and they do like that. You know those people? They don't want to get their water bill too high. They're not washing their hands. You must have in each washing of your hand enough water to cover your whole hand. You know where they learn that from? From this halakha of mayim achronim. They do like mini washing.
Yeah.
They get their little fingertips wet and they, whatever they do with them, I don't know what they do. And that's also not a halakha. Halakha is you have to wash your whole hand when you do mayim achronim. Like when you wash your hand for bread. Using less water than when you wash your hands for bread, but still not. I don't know what that is. That's like a custom for lazy people who are too afraid to get away from the table.
We used to call it like the bird bath.
The bird bath. So we have to use a significant amount of water. V'zehu seder netilat yadayim, and this is the order of washing your hands shacharit in the morning. Ledat hazohar hakadosh, according to the Zohar. V'raboteinu hamekubalim, and our Kabbalists. Sheraui, and it's fitting lechol adam Yisrael, for every Jewish person in Hogan to wash their hands like this. Every person should wash their hands according to the Zohar in the morning. So again, we have to separate 2 concepts. One is cleaning your hands. That would suffice with 1 pouring of water. There's a special formula that how you wash your hands when you want to rid your hands of Ruach Ra. You could clean your hands physically, but spiritually to rid your hands of Ruach Ra, you would have to follow this order. Tchila, yikach hakli, you should take the cup, biyad yamino, in your right hand. Vimalenu mayim, and you should fill it up with water. Ukshehu male mayim, when it's full of water, yavirenu miyad yamino, you should pass it from your right hand, liyad smolo, to your left hand.
That's if you're right-handed.
Yeah, let's leave right here the halachot just for now. Assume everyone's right-handed for the moment. So again, every time you wash your hands, you're going to lift the cup with your right hand, fill it up, and then pass it to your left hand.
And not pour.
No. The reason for this, by the way, and I'm filling in the blanks a little bit because he doesn't want to do it. According to Kabbalah, you start everything with your right hand. So even though you pour water on your right hand first, you don't want to. How would you pour water on your right hand? With which hand? Left hand. So you don't want to start with the left. So you always start with the right and then pass it to the left. V'yishpoch hamayim min hakli shebiyado hasmalit, and you pour water from the cup in your left hand onto yado hayamanit, onto your right hand, right? Once. V'achal kach, and afterwards, yitol hakli biyado hayamanit, you should take the cup in your right hand. V'yishpoch al yado hasmalit, and you should pour onto your left hand. The reason we start pouring the right hand is because we always start with the right, and the reason we use our left hand would be because we always want the left hand to be serving the right. Always, in Kabbalah. V'chozer kaseder hazeh, and you repeat this order, right, left, l'sirugin, alternatingly. Meaning you don't do 3 and then 3, you do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Got it?
Can I ask you, you have to do it on the hand that's open, or can it be like...
From my understanding, it could be either way as long as it covers both your hands.
As long as it covers everything from, let's say,
I'm happy to see if there's a
down.
different source, but that's from my knowledge. That's Dehainu pam achat yad yamin, once on the right hand, upam achat yad small, once on the left hand. V'shuv chozer, and you repeat this again. V'shofech pam achat yad yamin, you pour again on your right hand. Upam achat yad small, you pour it again on your left hand. V'chen b'pam shlishit, and you do the same thing the 3rd time. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Fine. I'll add in here, there's a certain Hanhaga, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu writes that according to Kabbalah, when you pass the cup, when you pass the cup from your right hand to the left hand, the second and third times, you should put it down in between. That way, your right hand is never serving your left hand. Interesting idea. You don't have to do it. Just something I saw when I was looking through the writings of the Kollel. Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu seems to be specific about this, but I don't see it mentioned in the writings of the Poskim. Aval, but im shafach hamayim, if you pour the water shalosh pa'amim, 3 times, tchila al yad achat, first on one hand, on top of 65, v'achar kach, and afterwards, shafach hamayim, you pour the water shalosh pa'amim, 3 times, al hayad hashniya, on the second hand. So if you do 3, or shafach harbe mayim b'pam achat al kol yad, or you pour a lot of water on each hand once. En netila zo, this washing of your hand is not mo'ilah, is not helpful, lehasir haruach ha'ah, to get rid of the ruach ha'ah mal yadav, from your hands. All of this is based on the Shaar HaKavanot of the Arizal. Everything we just read right now.
It's what?
It's all based on the Shaar HaKavanot, the gate of Kavanot from the Arizal, Rabbi Chaim Vital, who was the one who wrote it, and the name was Rabbi the Arizal, according to the Zohar.
So, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
If you shake hands with somebody who doesn't wash,
So long as your hands are dry, it's okay. Tuma only passes with wet hands.
their hands are sweaty.
I don't think that would be enough. I mean, maybe you want to wash your hands on your own, but that's your own. That's a good point you bring up, by the way. If a person's hands are sweaty, you can just tell them, I don't want to shake your hand. My hands are dirty. It's much more fair to do that than to shake somebody's hands when your hands are sweaty. There are people, I don't know what they do before they come to shul. They spray their hands with all kinds of perfumes and colognes and things like that, and they come to shake my hand, and then I have to go take a shower because I just wash my hands. You see me? I leave the Beit Knesset. That means someone shook my hand. I can't pray with that hand, so I go wash my hands off. That person, just don't shake my hand. Shake somebody else's hand. They have to be careful with these things.
What they put in the hands?
Perfume, cologne.
Yeah, so even though that's not water, it can transmit the tumah also?
Not too much, just by personal hygiene. Meaning, you should be considerate of other people's
You don't want
cleanliness.
that.
Before people come to my office, I have a piece of paper, no perfumes or cologne.
Okay. Baruch Hashem. I'll tell you, my baby, my Monday class, all the ladies, they hold the baby while I teach. By the time he finishes that, I have to change his clothes.
You have to bless us.
You have to bless with something, right? You're going to have
Yeah,
some.
so how does this interpretation of the Shulchan Aruch vary from others from this passage? In other words,
What's the other option?
yeah, what's so special about it?
Let's read the next one. You asked me a great question. V'harotze la'achmir. One who wants to be strict. Letzet yidei chova, to fulfill his obligation, aliba, according to the kuli alma, the whole world, meaning according to all the Jewish opinions that exist.
Mixes a lot of Aramaic.
Yeah, they're halachic terms, like terminology that not worth translating. And you have to hold on to your head for this one, okay? Ya'aret tchila, you should pour first shalosh pa'amim retzufot, 3 times, one after the next, al yad yamino, on your right hand. V'achar kach, and afterwards, ya'are, you should pour shalosh pa'amim retzufot, 3 times, one after the next,
It's washing for good.
al yad smolo, on your left hand. V'achar kach, and after you do that, Ya'areh ot shtei pamim, you should pour another 2 times l'sirugin, alternatingly, al kol yad, on either hand. So you go like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 1, 2. This is your morning workout. V'nimtza, so it comes out, Shi'areh al kol yad gam 3 pamim u'tzuvot. That he's pouring on every hand 3 and 3. V'gam 3 pamim l'sirugin, and also 3 times alternatingly. How does that work 3 times? You only did twice alternating. So how does it count for 3 times alternating?
Especially with that middle break, that part.
Because the last one of the
first 3,
yeah.
the last one of the first 3 counts for alternating. How's that for Jewish ingenuity?
Wow, did he get a Nobel Prize for that?
And there are a number of Mekubalim that write this.
5 times become 3.
Umikol makom, but in any case, en ze ele chumra ba'alma. This is only a very additional stringency. V'dai bekach, and it's enough sheitol kol yad 3 pamim l'sirugin. It's enough if you just wash your hands 3 times alternatingly.
It's interesting that he chose to list it.
There's a book on Shulchan Aruch. Written by one of the giant Mekubalim of the Sephardic community in the last generation. He passed away, by the way, and was unable to finish writing the last volume of his work. So the family hired Rabbi Ovadia Yosef to write the rest of his book in the style that he would have written it. And he did. So the last few chapters are written by Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. Let me just read here. By the way, what I meant to tell you is not that the right hand shouldn't give to the left hand of Mordechai Eliyahu. That's what I was thinking. Rather, the left hand should never give the cup back to the right hand. So between the left and the right, he puts down the cup. Okay.
And if you're left-handed?
It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. I didn't see it yet here. Could be it's going to come up.
Reverse. You're left-handed?
What?
Are you left-handed? Oh.
Only creative people are left-handed.
We accept it.
Let's read. This is an important footnote to read. See Lamed Chet in the Rashi script. It's the last bold letters in the Rashi script on 65. Kaf HaChaim, that's his book, the Kaf HaChaim. He says that it's only an extra stringency, you don't have to do it. V'chei nira, turn the page, hayom. V'chei nira midivrei mekubalim. This appears to be proper according to the words of the Kabbalists, v'acharonim anal, in the above mentioned poskim. Sheishmitu da'azo. That they neglected to mention this opinion entirely. In this whole opinion, do 3, then 2 alternatingly. It's not found in the writings of the Arizal. It's not found in the Shaar Kavanot. It's not found in the Zohar. So even though some rabbis mention it, why would you try to be stricter than the Arizal in matters of Kabbalah? That only works for people who like to follow that line of logic. Other people think that they're holier than everyone else, so that's why they're always strict. Okay, now we come up to the next opinion. You asked us for more opinions, right, Jack? So here you're getting all of them. So you had that one, now you have another one.
Well, didn't ask more opinion.
You wanted to know what the other options were. My wife told me that in her family they have a custom to wash their hands 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of 3, 4 times. So I laughed. She said, why are you laughing? I said, because you don't know halakha. She said, not she doesn't know. I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at the custom. So why? I said, because it's very interesting. She said, no, it's a Hasidic custom. She said, this is not a Hasidic custom. She said, it is a Hasidic custom. Okay, maybe it's a Hasidic custom. Let's look at the root of this ancient Hasidic custom. Look at it with me together. Uladat, and according to the opinion of Hagaon, the genius, Rabbi Eliyahu Mivilna. Anyone know who the Vilna Gaon was?
It's a
Was he Hasidic?
No.
Anti-Hasidic.
He was like the greatest opponent of the Hasidic movement who ever lived. So according to him, Yesh la'arot, one should pour arba pamim l'sirugin, should pour 4 times alternatingly. See, I told you he was an ancient Hasidic custom.
Wow.
Did you tell your wife?
I did. You know how Hasidim are. Tradition. Shalosh pamim, 3 times. Kedei lehavir haruach ra'a mal yadav. 3 times are to get rid of that ruach ra'a. Upam haravi'it, and the 4th time, Kedei lehavir, to get rid of mal yadav, from his hands, et otam hamayim, that water shlitamau, that became tameh.
What? Oh, because the water was contaminated, you want to wash it again?
Because that water that from the 3 times is still tameh,
Yeah.
it washed away the tumah, but that water is still tameh. So now you want to wash a 4th time to get rid of that water that's still tameh. I saw that the Kollel Rebbe does this. When I was with him, I saw that he washes 4
Oh,
times.
interesting.
And I told you about the custom of some people hold, if it's a metal cup,
Yeah, you
a
told me.
towel.
I haven't seen that yet.
I seen Chabad do that, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen
They
that.
say it's like you get tumah if you hold the metal cup in your hand.
We should have robots then.
No, they're made out of metal.
No, we don't touch the robots.
Oh.
That's what it's for.
Oh, you hear about the robot that writes the Torah? Oh, you didn't see that article?
I saw it. No, it's real. It's
It's
real.
not a joke.
Robot,
He
robot, Sofair?
Yeah.
Robot Sofair.
So regarding this minhag, listen, I have a rule. The Ben Ish Chai has his rule also. The Ben Ish Chai says, listen, the greatest Kabbalist who lived ever, since the times of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, is the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi. And if you see that there are things that people do according to Kabbalah that he didn't do, don't do them. Because who are you to compete with the greatest master of Kabbalah who ever lived? The Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef Diviv Azulai, said, I used to see people who did things according to Kabbalah, not from the Arizal. There were other Kabbalists, not Arizal Kabbalists. And he says, and I would mock them publicly. That's what he says. Because who are you to be stricter than our rabbi, the Arizal? This is a rule, and I wish people knew this rule. Like, who are we to be stricter in halakha than the author of the Code of Jewish Law, of Mahan? Who are we to be stricter in Kabbalah than the author of all the Kabbalistic writings since the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Arizal? People don't think like this today. People think like, oh, why not? If I can, so why not? What are you saying, though, when you do such a thing? What you're saying is, I'm particular about something which I claim is Kabbalistic, but that Arizal, who's the king of all Kabbalists, didn't even know what I'm talking about. Or he knew about it and chose not to do it.
Yeah.
So why would you? Why would you? So again, things that I see people do according to Kabbalah, if the Arizal didn't mention them, so who are we to do them? My opinion. V'yesh medakdakim. Oh, here's the opinion that I told you was quoted by Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. There are those who are careful. Sheleolam, that they never, Eino moshit hakli, they never pass the cup. Miyado hasmalit, from his left hand, liyado haymanit, to his right hand. So they go like this, they pass to the left hand, they pour, and then they never pass it back to the right hand. Rather, Ela miyad achar sheshafach hamayim, right after he pours the water, miyado hasmalit, from his left hand, al yado haymanit, onto his right hand, maniach hakli, he puts down the cup miyado hasmalit ala karka, on the floor, or in our case, in the sink, or the shulchan, or the table. V'shuv chozer, and then he comes back, v'lokech haklin, and he takes the cup misham from there, biyado haymanit, with his right hand. So you go like this. You pass to the left hand, pour, put down. Like this, put down. Like this, put down. Got it? That's how that will work.
Until you get up in your rush to get to Shaar.
Right? But after he pours the water, miyado haymanit, on his, from from his right hand. Al yado hasmalit, onto his left hand. Noten hakli miyado himanit yado hasmalit, he passes the cup from his right hand to his left hand. Below shum hefsek b'ntayim, without any interruptions in between. This is what the Ben Ish Chai writes. So when do you put the cup down? When you're passing from left to right. But from right to left? No. This is again only an additional stringency if one wishes to do so. The logic behind it, I'll explain to you.
But it matters when you do it. Each time that the left would give back to the right, each time you would set it down in all three.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're patur from doing that like a first one or a second one or.
Right. He says this whole thing is leharot hakna'a lasmalit keneged hayamanit. It's to show the submission of the left hand to the right hand, shehu adon, which is the master, hagozer al avdo l'shamsho, which is commanding his slave to serve him. In Kabbalah, right is good, left is bad. We always want the left to be serving the right, never the other way around.
The Jews and the Chinese are prejudiced against left.
Not left-handed people, rather left hand on a right-handed person.
No, because in China they don't allow you to write characters if you're left.
With the left hand.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh.
I write my characters.
You are quite character.
Yes. So I would also wash in the same way as a left-handed person. I guess washing it's not a big deal.
That's what it seems like.
Not like to fill in.
But to fill in, you get
Yeah, you put it on, yeah.
I don't think there's any problem with that.
Washing hands is a big deal, but it's at the beginning before you eat. You're doing the first
Right.
thing wrong, then you're all going to eat.
I saw a book put out by a rabbi who's clearly left-handed. It's about this thick. It said, halachot for those who are left-handed.
I love it.
I once saw it in Jerusalem. I didn't buy it because I figured, this guy must have made it all up because I've never seen that much discussion in the...
It was so much of a left-handed book that you read from the left to the right.
So it could be that we'd have to get our hands on that book and see all the details of those different opinions.
Unless it's incumbent on left-handed people like me to study.
Yudchet, halacha chayim. Lechatchila, ideally, tzarich litol yadav, you have to wash your hands until where?
Up to like the wrist.
Some people are showing me the knuckles.
Sorry, but not
Some are shown.
is mandatory.
Wait, which knuckles? These knuckles?
The upper
Those knuckles? Those knuckles?
See here.
So we're washing our hands until in the morning.
Here.
It mean it can't go beyond a certain point?
No, it has to at least go up to this
Yeah.
point. Like, you can wash your whole hand if you
Yeah,
want.
it's easier to just do the whole... You're half asleep anyway.
Let's look. Lechatchila, ideally, tzarich litol yadav, you must wash your hands ad haperek, until your wrist.
That makes sense.
And that makes it easier.
Dehainu, meaning
That's the first one.
ad makom chibur kaf hayad, from the place where the palm connects el hazroa, to the arm. Yeah, that's your wrist. V'im en lo maspik mayim, and if he does not have enough water, we have no idea how blessed we are to have sinks, by the way, faucets, things that have running water. He told Yadav, you should wash your hand ad sof kishrei ha'etzbaot, until the end of his knuckles. Which knuckles?
Third, right?
My knuckles.
Let's see. Dehainu, meaning ad makom chibur ha'etzbaot, where the fingers connect le kaf hayad, to the palm, which is these knuckles, right? So at least you have to wash these knuckles. Up
The
until
last
these
knuckles. All knuckles, basically.
Yeah.
So is it wrong to put more water in the cup?
No, not at all. You can refill the cup while you... Yeah, sure.
So
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I fill up more water. I mean, sometimes they're big cups, sometimes...
We're stuck with
Not
a small
that big.
cup.
Well, small cup.
And we have a different cup every week for the coffee.
You should donate one.
You definitely have some weird cups. We have some like coffee cups in there, and some who knows what kind of cups that are left.
There was a back
V'yivarech an netilat yadayim, and then you wash on netilat yadayim. U'v'yom kippurim, and Yom Kippur, v'tisha b'av, and those days where you're not allowed to
wash the hand.
wash your hands. Yitol lechatchila ad sof kishrei etzbaot. You should wash until the end of your knuckles. Vivarech al netilat yadayim, and you should make a blessing of al netilat yadayim.
Now, after the fast, after Kippur, you wash your whole hand, right?
Yes.
Because it doesn't remove all of it.
Again, that's also a stringency, but yeah, because technically you can always wash until the end of your knuckles, which is an additional stringency to wash your whole hand.
What do you mean after the fast?
Some have a custom after the fast to wash the hands again until the wrists.
When you break the fast?
Yeah, at the end of the,
Yeah, man.
when the holiday is officially over with Kippur or Tisha B'Av is officially over.
I know some big poskim that on Rosh Hashanah, on Tisha B'Av, they wash their hands until their wrists. Yom Kippur, it's from the Torah, so.
But is that, it's not part of Netilat Yadayim when you wash your hands for eating? Or is that what it is?
On Yom Kippur, we're not eating.
After you're through.
Oh, afterwards, you're saying? No, it's something else. Like to.
Unless you wash
We don't eat on Yom Kippur?
No, not here.
Now you're getting me.
But some say that.
Actually, it mentions Yom Kippur in the Ur Halacha.
Yeah, some say that on Yom Kippur, there is no tumah that rests on the person, and that's why it's okay to wash only until your knuckles. Whereas the rest of the year, we wash until our wrists. Interesting halacha. That's from the pre-Eitz Chaim, it's called. Okay. Maybe we'll just finish about the order of washing our hands today. We have 2 more halachot. Yeah, we'll hang in there.
68.
Yes. By the way, I put an article on my Facebook page. I don't know if those of you who don't have Facebook, I can email it to you. Beautiful article that I think you might appreciate. The one from Rabbi Angel that I posted. Did you see that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I can email it out to the group, God willing, tonight. I suggest you take some time. It's a long read, but it's a worthwhile read.
Okay.
It's about the different approaches to halakha from Rabbi Kook and Rabbi Uzziel, the 2 chief rabbis that were together before the founding of the state of Israel. Lefi dat raboteinu mekubalim. According to the opinion of our rabbis, the Kabbalists, achar shenatal yadav 3 pa'amim leserugin, after you wash your hands 3 times alternating, yishafshef yadav zo bazo. You should rub your hands together. V'tov shishafshef yadav zo bazo 3 pa'amim.
This is after you put water in?
After you wash your hands, you should rub your hands together.
Before you dry them?
Yeah. And it's good if you could do this 3 times. I mean, rub your hands into each other 3 times. Uv'shat hashifshuf, and when he's wiping his hands on each other, Yizaher sheyu etzbaot yadav, the fingers of one's hands, yu skufot klepei mala, should be upright towards up. V'lo yu kfufot, and they should not be bent or folded. So like this. You go like 3 times.
Oh, so you're not doing like a full blown, like not like you're applying cream, but
Right.
It's like just like kind of like a.
And put both sides of the hand, the back.
The Arizal says you only need once, but the Rashash, who's a continuer of the Arizal's legacy, says he understands from the writings of the Arizal that it means 3 times.
But but that's a good question. Like palm and back of the hand, or just palm?
That's a good question.
That's the stringency, right?
Yeah, it's a Kabbalistic thing. Umiyad achar sheshefshef yadav, and right after he rubs his hands in each other, tzarich lifshot kapot yadav. He must open up his hands, lekabel atara, to accept the purification, kamisha rotzeh lekabel davar, like someone who wants to receive something, like this. Yeah. V'yagbia yadav lamala ad roshon, you should lift your hands until where your head is, not above your head. We never lift wet hands above our head. Or lefachot keneged panav, or at least until the height of your face. V'yivarech al netilat yadayim, you should make the blessing of al netilat yadayim. V'achar kach yinegev yadav, and then you should dry his hands. So according to us, the only thing that would be different here is he does all of this, but he made the bracha already before. Okay. Yesh nahagim. There's some, but once we're already here, those who have a custom to open up their hands when they say Potech et yadecha in Ashrei. The Ben Ish Chai says it's a good custom to open up your hands to show not that you're. Some people think Potech et yadecha. I'm opening up my hands. You're not imitating Hashem, opening up His hands. When you know what Hashem's hands look like when He opens them. Rather, the whole thing is we open up our hands to accept Hashem's blessing, and therefore, if you're holding your hands like this, all the blessings are going to fall right through. Says the Ben Ish Chai, you have to, like a poor person who wants to accept something. You're waiting for, and that's where the shefa comes into our hands.
So is that done all times to say Ashrei?
By the Sfaradim at least.
Yeah.
The custom is developed. Whenever we say Potech Tedecha, we go like this. Some people go like that.
When you say Potech, then in the morning you're supposed to touch it to fill it.
According to the Ashkenazim. According to the Sfaradim, we don't touch our tefillin at that time.
Yeah, according
Oh,
to
really?
Ashkenazim. Yeah.
Right, no, it's true. The Ashkenazi custom is to touch your tefillin by Potech Tedecha.
Yeah. Okay, so one is Sephardic and one is...
Yes. Now also, in the beginning of, we didn't get this far yet, but you already brought this up. Sfaradim are very into Kabbalah when it comes to prayer. And even though we follow halakha for halakha, when it comes to the way we do things during prayer, we follow the Arizal, almost exclusively. And part of that is that the world that Psukei de Zimra corresponds to is not the same world that Tefillin corresponds to. And therefore we're not allowed to touch our Tefillin during Psukei de Zimra.
You're not allowed to
Touch our Tefillin during the Psukei de Zimra. From Baruch Hu until Shemona Esrei, you're only allowed to touch your hand Tefillin. The custom to go Baruch Hashem Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech, so Ashkenazim go Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech, they kiss both Tefillin. The Ben Ish Chai says that one who does this custom is an ignoramus, an am haaretz, and a bull. That's what he writes about it.
All three.
He says because he doesn't know clearly that Kabbalah says that you cannot touch your head tefillin until you're in Shemona Esrei.
Actually, the custom that I learned is not to kiss. It's mostly to touch both. Go right to here.
Really?
Because the idea is to focus.
Focus, right, on the
It
tefillin.
isn't to kiss it.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's like this. That's what Ashkenazim do. But kissing,
I never learned the kissing.
it's brought down Shulchan Aruch every time when you can. You don't have to kiss. You just it's to show
part
endearment to the
Party
tefillin.
kiss is when during Shema.
Right. So that's why Sfaradim we say Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech Oseh Shalom V'Vorei Hakol. We only kiss our hand tefillin, not our head tefillin. So how come? And by the way, Sfaradim, that's why we say Hashem Sfadat Yiftach. When we say Baruch Hashem Gaal Yisrael, before we start Shemona Esrei, we're supposed to kiss our head tefillin then.
Okay, I was going to ask you, where do you do it during
And then, you Yonatan Lefi V'Gol Mifanecha Hashem Tzuri V'Gali. At the end of Shemona Esrei, we kiss our head tefillin again to say goodbye, kind of, to our head tefillin. It's interesting though that because even according to those Mekubalim, during Shema, when we say Kshatam Natan Yedecha Vayilta Devot Benenecha, you kiss both tefillin. It seems that Shema is the exception to the rule. So I'm not here to say that Ashkenazim's custom is bad. We do that by Shema, but those who wish to follow Kabbalah would only kiss their hand tefillin at that point. And by Potech Tedecha, we don't kiss our tefillin at all. Although I suggest, the Mekubalim do suggest that, so a person does not forget they're wearing tefillin when they pray from like Baruch Hu till Shema, to hold on to your hand tefillin. Like this, when you pray. Hold on like this. Not like just touch it, because the whole thing is to make sure you remember. Like you said, remember your tefillin. So if you're always doing this, you're going to forget that that's why you're putting... So to touch it, to kiss it, to keep reminding yourself that you're wearing tefillin. It's an important thing to be conscious of the fact that you're wearing tefillin. Until you take your tzitziot and then you let go of your tefillin and you take your tzitziot instead. If a person really wanted to pray shachrit properly, you need a lot of time to just take time and pray and do the halachot and the customs and the Kabbalah. Halevy, we'll get there one day. Rav Shlomo Krabach said that when he used to pray in Lubavitch, not by the last Rebbe, but by the sixth Lubavitch Rebbe, by the Rebbe Rayatz. That's why Rav Shlomo Krabach fell in love with Chabad. He said it seems that when Chabad started doing outreach, they forgot a little bit about their own passion that they had. But Chabad was known for their prayer. Their prayer was like an intense thing, not a fast thing, an intense thing. So Rav Shlomo Krabach said that Rebbe Rayatz would pray Shachrit for at least 3 hours every single morning. 3 hours Shachrit every single morning. He said when you were there, he said you felt like you were with Hashem. Today, most of our minyanim in the world is like, how fast can you finish? That's what makes you the best minyan. But it's a sad thing. We used to have rabbis that they were tzaddikim. They prayed. I had a rabbi that we used to pray Shachar at 7:30. He still teaches in the yeshiva in Baltimore. When we would start class at 9:30, he would come up with his tefillin, take it off in class, because at 9:25 he just took his 3 steps back from Shemona Esrei. We started Shemona Esrei at 5 minutes to 8. 9:25. Do the math. It wasn't like a facade. It wasn't like a joke. He was like trying to show everyone how holy he was. That was really how he prayed every single day.
Meditation. That's why so many Jews are going to Buddhism now.
Because we don't do it. Because we don't do it.
Yeah.
By Mincha, I remember he would pray Mincha, and we'd all go to secular studies right after Mincha. That was when we went to secular studies. You could come back by second period and he was still there. Maybe even third period sometimes, depends on the day. He was still in the middle of Shemona Esrei. It's nowhere to run to.
Yeah.
Nowhere to run to. It's amazing. I mean, we unfortunately have work, so Sunday morning we should take time to pray. Shabbat morning. It's so sad for me that we pray Shabbat morning so fast. I know you might think it's long, like it's 3.5 hours. It's crazy.
The thing is, you're the rabbi, so you should say that.
Baruch Hashem, my community prays at a very good speed.
Good.
It's not too fast. It's definitely not too slow, but it's not too fast. We sing everything together. But the people here who learn with me, they appreciate the slowness. There are other people that you are pushing the limits to that's all they can do. They cannot do more than that. And if you would push it more, you lost them. So you have to take the community into consideration. The families, the kids, the ladies, the people that are not, with us the whole week. But if there was really a minyan, and we used to pray in Yerushalayim nitz. Why nitz? Because even the people who work, they have time from 5 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the morning to pray. Because they just have to be at work at 8:30, so what's the big deal? They start at 5, instead of starting at 7:30, and then of course you're going to have to rush. Halevy, we should, if it was up to me, once a month we would have an nitz minyan. Once a month. Just once a month, you take a Sunday morning or a Rosh Chodesh or something, and you'd pray for 2 hours. Singing, Halevy, maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll start a Kollel minyan once a month. So I'll leave it up to you.
Just curious, how do you decide, by looking out at people in the minyan, when you should start the repetition of the Amida? I mean, if you've gone beyond your limit, you finished in, you wait 2 or 3 minutes, and still some people are.
Normally, you have to do the math just at how many people are saying Amen.
But
you have to make sure you have.
It's sort of like Jonah. If there's 5 people, if there's 3 people.
So it's either 9 other people or 6 people, depending who you ask. Especially for me, my calculation is even if I have more than that, how many of those people are those who are going to be saying Amen? Most of my people who are going to be answering Amen are still in the middle of Shemona Esrei. So I'll wait another minute or 2 for them, because I need them to be answering Amen. Even though I have 15 other people that would already be answering Amen. It's like you have to feel it out. It's like everyone knows their crowd.
But you also tell the people, or be understood, that you shouldn't interrupt just to finish on time. You shouldn't hurry through it.
Yes, it's true. When we start, I've told this before. The halakha is, my rabbi always tells us, when there's a repetition of Shemona Esrei, there's no mitzvah for you to answer Kedusha.
Right.
Finish praying. You're in the middle of talking to God. There's nothing more important than talking to God. In the middle of Shemona Esrei, so finish. Finish, man. Even that. No, if you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, you don't have to do Kedusha. Forget about it. Just pray.
Well,
you have to stop. You have to let it. You can't be talking to Hashem while everyone else
say
is.
Kadosh.
Just.
If you're in the middle of it, you can say you can stop and then say the rest of it later. I understood. But if you're past like Modim and Nachnu, then you have to finish it.
I'm telling you, no.
Okay.
Even though there are such rules, I'm telling you, forget the rules.
Okay.
On a philosophical level, your tefillah is more important. Do you know what's more important, Kedusha or Kaddish?
Kaddish.
Okay, I'm happy people know that. Most people think Kedusha, but Kaddish is very important. Let's read this last halakha.
Because you told us.
Chaf, this is common sense halakha. Yesh nohagim, there are some who have the custom lomar psukim, to say all kinds of psukim. B'shat netilat yadayim shacharit, when they wash their hands in the morning. Kagon pasuk, for example, the verse of Se'u, you know where I am? On page 68. Chaf. Se'u yedechem kodesh, uvarchut Adonai, lift your hands in holiness and bless Hashem. V'nachon yoter shelo lomar psukim. Says Rabbi David, it's better not to say this psukim. Why?
Like an interruption.
That's what you would think, but that's not the reason he gives. Someone tell me.
Can you repeat the verse again?
Se'u yedechem kodesh u'baruchuta, lift your hands in holiness and bless Hashem. Some people have that custom to say this verse. He says, even though that's a custom and it's brought down in many places, you shouldn't do it.
Because you still haven't said the Birkat Torah, the morning morning.
Oh, very nice. Kevan she'adayin lo birech birchot Torah, because you still have not said birchot Torah, the blessings of Torah. Then how could you say verses from the Torah when you have not yet said the blessing on saying things from the Torah? So what about those books that say you should say them? What were they thinking? So the Kaf HaChaim, he suggests that they were thinking that you shouldn't say them, but rather you should think about them. According to the opinion that says you're allowed to think about Torah before you make the blessing, you just can't verbalize Torah before you say the blessing. I remember I was once walking with one of my rabbis, and I said, Rabbi, can I ask you a question on Halakha? I was on the way to davening. He said, I still didn't say Birkot Torah, so let me first say my blessings, and then you can come back later and ask me a question in Torah. It's like you wouldn't eat cake before you made a mezonot on it, so you wouldn't say Torah without making that first. Yeah.
So let's say, it's better to say the morning bracha at home than come to shul, but let's say you're in a hurry and you come to shul and then you say it, the morning blessings. Can you listen to like a tape about Torah?
Could be, because that's thinking about Torah. Could be. We'll get to those halachot very soon. Very soon we're going to get to those halachot. Alright? Have a beautiful day.